Well, the calendar may say springtime, but there are days when it really feels more like summer. And yet, up in Oregon's mountain wilderness areas, the country is just waking up from winter. Hi there, I'm Grant McComey, your host for Travel Oregon's Grant's Getaways. And this week, we travel into Oregon's Cascade Mountain Wilderness with a group of volunteers who will hike hundreds of miles in order to provide safe passage for hikers and horsepackers. Come on along as we journey the Pacific Crest Trail for a wilderness logout. In the Mark O Hatfield Wilderness, prized for silence, solitude, and stunning scenery, you don't hear phones, radios, or TV. But each spring, you may hear this. The sound of trailkeepers who give their time and labor so hikers and campers have an easier way.
One tree often comes down, but it'll hit another, which hits another, which hits another. And so you frequently find jumbles of trees like this. We got 4 right here.
They are volunteers who remove the fallen trees that block the Pacific Crest Trail. This is prized Oregon wilderness, so mechanized tools like chainsaws are not allowed. The crew must use hand tools, including century-old crosscut saws. The 7-foot blade takes 2 to cut the big wood.
There is a rhythm. I mean, most of the time you're actually working with another person, so it's kind of a push-pull back and forth, but it's kind of like an endurance thing. It's just slow and steady, and eventually you'll make the way through the log.
At the end of the day, do you know you've been doing something?
Yeah, you definitely know you've been doing something. And
we have 250 plus miles of trail, and if they weren't out there, we wouldn't be able to get to near half of that. The amazing thing about these folks is they've really taken a huge leadership role in trail maintenance and trail volunteerism in the Mount Hood National Forest.
The Mount Hood chapter of the Pacific Crest Trail Association is all volunteer and nearly 1,000 strong, according to volunteer instructor David Rowe.
You can get exercise by hiking in Forest Park in Portland, but you get a completely different experience when you're hiking in wilderness areas. And by keeping out the mechanized, the motorized equipment, we are able to maintain that experience for the hikers, which is what they come here for.
The volunteers provide their own gear, pay their own expenses, and must complete specialized training to handle the tools. The Sawyer training is a rigorous series of sessions, often led by Rowe, and prepares volunteers to meet the same standards as Forest Service personnel.
What we're looking for is a nice, smooth pull and good-sized chips coming out.
The cross-cut saws are from a bygone era. Manufacturers stopped producing them after World War II. So, Rowe scours the countryside for them, including old barns, attics, even atop fireplace mantles.
They just ended up hanging on a wall, and now after all these years, we're putting them back to use on the trail.
6 people a year are also trained to sharpen the saw teeth that are called cutters and rakers.
Like that. Kind of keeping alive a tradition, because if we weren't maintaining and using these, I think in another generation it'd probably fade from memory.
I really prefer the crosscut because I think it involves more people, more volunteers, it's quiet, it doesn't smell like gas. Neat old technology that's just fun.
Tyler Marriott has been a volunteer the past 8 years. He fell in love with the outdoors and the lost art of using crosscut saws.
It's more exercise, it's more work, and it's cool. It's just cool. That's all there is to it. Just to be out, to do something besides behind the computer all the time. It's a reason to be out there. I want to be out there anyhow. For me, it's the reason to be out, and I need that.
Back out on the PCT, Rowe says they're always on the lookout for new recruits. They found a good one in Dorothy Brown Quiser.
Woo, perfect.
It's still amazing to think that 2,669 miles of trail is maintained just like this. It's unbelievable, really.
Dorothy should know. She trekked the entire PCT in 2012. The trail reaches from Mexico to Canada. It was established in 1968. Her cousin Melissa joined her too. The duo spent 152 days on the trail, averaging 25 miles per day. She calls the Oregon portion of the PCT simply splendid.
We've saved some beautiful parts of Oregon in our wilderness areas. The wildflowers are stunning. The peaceful alpine lakes, it's just beautiful. It's that thing to know that it's there even if you can't ever go there. Gives a lot of us a peace of mind.
Dorothy admits she gained new confidence and found peace of mind on her 5-month hike, so now it's time to give back.
By working on trails, you give people the experience I had. Somebody puts those trails there and somebody maintains them, and it wasn't me at that point. And so I want to give back so that other people have the same experience.
If you're coming through on horseback with a couple of mules behind you, it's going to be a lot easier to go through here.
Rowe adds the work is hard but satisfying, and each volunteer finds personal rewards in the service.
I don't think we could get volunteers out here to do this if it really wasn't a fulfilling and enjoyable job. The hikers will never know how it got to be out of the trail.
The Pacific Crest Trail Association is always on the lookout for new recruits, folks who will volunteer time and labor so the rest of us can have easier passage. We have all the details, directions, and the contact information right here on the Travel Oregon website, so be sure to check it out. Until next week, do get out here and enjoy the Oregon outdoors, and let Travel Oregon be your guide. For Travel Oregon, I'm Grant McComb.